the Gibeonites had heard about this great nation. More than that, they had heard about this great God that killed the firstborn of Egypt. About this God that blotted out the sun and slayed the Nile River. About the hailstones that fell and all the plagues that befell the land of Egypt. And they heard that there was a new leader, Joshua, who was going to conquer the land. And when the walls of Jericho came falling down, Jericho was an ancient city. Its walls were bigger than this room. 3 chariots could run at the same time. Jericho had stood for hundreds of years, impregnable. And then this ragtag slave army comes out of Egypt and the walls fall down. So everybody's beginning to tremble. And the Gibeonites realize Ai just fell. What are we going to do? And so they had a ruse, a ploy. They took some of their oldest garments, their oldest sandals. And you know, some people pay attention to expiration dates. Don't raise your hand if you could care less about expiration dates. I'm like, they're like, Dad, there's mold on that bread. I just rip it off and put it in the toaster. It'll be fine. But not everybody's that way. They took the old moldy bread and the holy shirts and the old sandals, and they came to Joshua and they bowed down before him. And they said, Joshua, we heard you're the greatest leader of all time. We heard about Og and Sihon and all the kingdoms that fell to you in the wilderness. We want to be united with you. Make a covenant with us. We're not local. We're from far away. Look at our bread, how old it is. Look at our shoes, how worn they are. You know, when somebody gives you a lot of unsolicited details, they're usually lying. I mean, Joshua should be like, why are you telling me about your sandals? I didn't ask. Why are you telling me about your shirt? I didn't care. We're from far away, Joshua. Just believe us. And it says Joshua did not seek the Lord. And he made a covenant with them, believing they were from far away. And then he finds out that they're only a day's journey away. But the pact had been made. The covenant had been cut. In chapter 10, when the other Canaanite city-states heard about Gibeon joining Joshua, they were upset. And they surrounded the city of Gibeon. And they said, we're going to destroy you. We're going to kill you. And the Gibeonites sent a delegation and they came to Joshua and they said, Joshua, we're surrounded. We're in trouble now. Now, if you were Joshua, you got an easy out, don't you? Well, I guess you're going to die by the Canaanites. That's what you get for tricking us. And all the elders said, Joshua, let him die. Forget about him. And Joshua said, I gave my word, I will keep my word. And Joshua got all the men all night, through the night, and they surrounded the city of Gibeon. And they liberated the city. They started fighting against the Canaanites. And when God saw them fighting, them honoring their word, God honored his word. And God sent hailstones at those Canaanites. And in fact, Joshua was winning the battle so greatly, he said, Lord, if I had more time, I could finish them completely. And the Lord kept the sun still. God fought on behalf of the Gibeonites. When everything was done and settled, they came to Joshua and they said, thank you so much. He said, you tricked me. We made a covenant, but here's the new part of it. From now on, you're going to be the lowest rung of society. You're going to be the woodcutters. You're going to be the water fetchers. And they said, well, we're just glad that we can be united with you. And Joshua said, from now on, you're going to serve the priests by the tabernacle. And you're going to make sure that the altars are always clean. And they said, even better, we get to be by the presence of God. Do you see how desperate they were? Do you see how dutiful they were? Do you see how they didn't want to lose their place? Some of you Laker fans like a player named LeBron James. He was very popular around here nowadays, but when he came up in Akron, Ohio, he was the Cleveland kid. Then he got drafted by his hometown, the Cavaliers, and took them all the way to the finals a few times. And then his contract was up, and people thought he was going to re-sign with his home team, but instead he didn't. He decided he was going to re-sign with the Miami Heat. And he had a big press conference, and everybody was wondering what team's he going to sign with. And he said, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. And we're not going to win 1 title or 2 titles or 3 titles or 4 titles. And Florida was excited. But do you remember how Akron felt? Do you remember what Cleveland did? They took his jerseys and they lit them on fire. They booed him. They said, you were one of us. And you betrayed us. Every one of us has to have a little bit of traitor in us. Let me explain it. In the book of Colossians, chapter 1, verse 13, it says, we used to be in this darkness, but now we're in the light. In John chapter 8, verse 44, Jesus says, you used to be of your father, the devil, but now you've come into the kingdom of light. Now you can change. You can switch sides. There's a friend of mine that was incarcerated for many years. And he got out and he came to know Jesus Christ and gave his life fully. And then he had trouble with his job and trouble with his relationship. He was just having a really hard time. And I said, you doing okay? And he goes, Pastor, every day I remember this one thought. The nightmare is over. I don't have